everyone, it's Robert here from danceFLOW. For those of you who happen to celebrate Easter, happy Easter and hope you're having a wonderful weekend. This is class 7 of danceFLOW qigong tai chi express, and it's specifically for those of you who want to de-stress, learn relaxation techniques, as well as manage pain, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional. So in weeks or classes 1 to 6, introduce you through some movements. So today I'm just going to go through and please feel free to follow me. Qigong begins with understanding energy flow and qi. Qi is life energy. And anytime that you're faced with stress, I'd like you to do this. To reset yourself, you want to breathe in with the nose. So breathe in. And then breathe out 3 times, like this. So breathe in, and reset yourself. Breathe out 3 times, making a ha sound. So, I also, in the previous weeks, talked about putting the yin-yang symbol and using your palms and your hands to circle this way. And once you have it circled, you want to place it on your dantian. So the dantian is this area that is a reservoir of energy. So you want to circle clockwise or counterclockwise, breathing in. And let's use nose breathing, which was the technique I introduced in classes 2 and 3. So breathe out with the nose. And then you want to circle the other way. Breathe in. And breathe out with the nose. And all the while, you want to relax your shoulders. So now I'm tracing the outer yang channel, which is the outside of the leg, back up to the inside of the leg, which is the yin channel. And then circling once more to breathe in. And relaxing the shoulders, breathe out. And I'm going to use nose breathing again, so. And having your teeth on the upper palate closes this internal circuit that I talked about in classes 1 to 6. Also, not only can you reset by pressing in your stomach, breathing out 3 times, you can also clap your hands and rub your hands back and forth. So when you rub your hands back and forth, that warms up the palms, and this is called activating qi. Qi, as I mentioned before, was life energy, and that's the energy that's in an environment circulating through our body, so we want to channel that. And by first focusing on the physical movements and the physical forms, you will soon get into a state where it becomes muscle memory. And with muscle memory, you don't have to think about the movements anymore. And in the following weeks, I'll talk about how you can integrate your mind into the movements and the motions. So again, following the yang channel on the outside, you want to breathe out. And following the yin channel on the inside, you want to breathe in. Now, I also talked about the secondary channel, which is this channel that begins, or this flow of energy that can emanate from your middle dantian. And from there, it traces through the channel of the arm. So let's recap that version. And again, you want to clap your hands 3 times. If you're feeling really, really cold, then make sure that you really begin with these motions and these movements. And place 1 palm onto your lower dantian. And now you want to trace the fingers up through the middle dantian. And I generally like to start on the back of the neck, because this is the part that has the most strain and the most stress. And so, once more, you circulate one way, so you breathe in with the nose again. And then you continue to breathe out, but let's use version 2 of breathing. That's when we make the ha sound, so. And then you want to go down to your shoulder. You want to circle one way again, so you breathe in. And now make another ha sound. So, and then you want to go to the back of your bicep, which I know I'm very, very bad at body parts, but a student of mine told me it's a trapezius. So, so you want to circle your trapezius, all right? And then following the arm channel, you want to go to the forearm, circling one way again, so you breathe in, and making a ha sound. And the channel ends by flowing it down through the fourth finger, and then you want to do gentle strokes of the fourth finger to release the energy out into the environment. But with qigong and tai chi, what goes out also comes back in. So from the energy of the environment, it goes back through your fourth finger, traces up, back to the forearm. The outside again is the yang channel, to the trapezius, and I won't test you on the body parts, and through the back of the shoulder, and then the back of the neck. I find when I'm really stressed, this is the part that holds and houses a lot of, let's say, negative energy. And by using your hands now to send and channel that energy back down to the middle dantian, to the lower dantian, we want to circulate that energy, and now we store that energy into the dantian, circling one way to breathe in, and now circle the other way to breathe out. And taking your opposite hand, this time tracing up through the middle dantian, the back of the neck, and I'm going to massage it again. So breathing in, making a ha sound, down to the shoulder. So warming it, circulating it, massaging it, breathing in, and making a ha sound, and towards the trapezius. So breathing in once more, and making a ha sound. So with Tai Chi and Qigong, it uses the concept or the metaphor of yin, yang. Yin is the quiet side. It's the softer side of your body. It's the side that, or the metaphor of storing energy. And then you also have the opposite side, which is the yang, and that is the active energy. So let's trace again through the arms. Again, once more to the forearm, circling one way to breathe in, and circling the other way to breathe out. And these circular movements, you'll find, is very common in martial arts. And what the metaphor is to break down any blockages, and also to be able to understand how, first with our physical movements, but next with the mind, how we can channel energy. And energy is something that is neither positive or negative. It's just how you manipulate that energy to then work it to whether you want it for better health, wellness, or whether you're managing pain. And this channel of energy, you'll find, feels like waves of energy. So if you like the lake or the water as much as I do, you'll see different, when you see a ripple in the water, or when you see, on a summer's day, the wind blowing above the water. All of this is a holistic view of what's happening with energy from the environment. And then, through the food we eat, through the air we breathe, through placing ourselves in different environments so that our mental images become one with what we visually see, helps you to be able to cope with all kinds of stresses. So that was the reset. Again, the pumping in and out, breathing in and breathing out, as well as the circling the dantian. The dantian has the three zones, basically the lower dantian, the middle dantian, and the upper dantian. When I do the cool down, I'm going to talk about the upper dantian. As well as today, I'm going to start to integrate visual imagery, especially for those of you who are trying to find different tools of coping and managing with pain. All right, and then in class 5 and 6, I started to introduce to you about the door of life. So the door of life is the area on the small of the back. And you begin again once more by circulating the dantian, and I start with the lower dantian one way, and then the other way. And because it's an express class, of course, I'm going through a little bit faster. Now, you separate out the hands, and this time you place one palm on the small of the back, and once more, you circle one way. So you breathe in, relaxing the shoulders, and now when you breathe out, let's use version 2 of breathing, making a ha sound, so and circle the other way, so you want to breathe in, and this time make a ha sound, so and then you take your arms, the palms, trace back to the legs, to the outer yang channel, crossing over to the yin channel, and once more going to the dantian. And you can either circle one way once more, breathing in, tongue on the upper palate, and breathing out, making a ha sound, or you immediately split it without circulating the dantian. And let's go back again to the door of life, the small of the back area. The door of life is the metaphor of where energy enters through your body, all right? So it's also a metaphor of the region of our reproductive organs, our reproductive system. So now we want to again separate up the hands, massaging the outside of the leg, the yang channel, through the inside, the yin channel, and back up again to the dantian, where you can circle one way to breathe in, and circle the other way to breathe out. Now, I also introduced you in previous classes to the energy ball. So you want to visualize now that with your palms and your hands, you place it gently on top of an imaginary sphere. For now it's imaginary, but later on you're going to find that you can actually feel a sphere that forms from the energy of your hands, and through visualization and transference of thoughts to this area, this sphere that you hold between your hands. So I generally call this kind of motion for me massaging or circulating or embracing the sun. Yeah? So with that in mind, the upper hand you want to roll forward, so you breathe in, while the lower hand comes up during that same breathing motion. And then when you breathe out, you want to circle the opposite way. So you can always, of course, do this seated. I'm just, in this last few sessions, I've been doing the standing forms and the standing movements. So once more, relax the shoulders, yeah? Circle one way to breathe in, and circle the other way to breathe out. I'm going to use the second form of breathing. Let me turn a little bit towards the side of the camera so you can see a little bit better. So circle one way to breathe in, and circle the other way to breathe out. Circle to breathe in, and circle the other way to breathe out. Now what you want to do when you're doing this motion, you can then rotate slightly towards the inner thigh of one leg. So breathe in. Now make a ha sound when you breathe out. Breathe in. And make a ha sound when you breathe out. Now rotate to the inner thigh of the opposite leg. So you want to circle to breathe in. And now relax the shoulders to breathe out. Breathe in. And circle to breathe out. Let's send it back to the center. Breathe in. And all the while, relaxing your shoulders, relaxing the forearms, relaxing the hands. Breathe in. Visualizing this imaginary sphere, this metaphor of an energy ball that you're rotating. Or imagine, if it were possible, that you were caressing or embracing the sun. Hopefully I'll be able to do this outside when the weather warms up. It is still a little bit cold out there, but I love to do a lot of these motions by the lake. And I also introduce you to caressing the moon. So this time, you create a little ball, place it towards the middle dantian area, and this time we're going to spiral and circle one way to breathe in, and circle the other way to breathe out. So circle to breathe in, caressing the moon to breathe out, and then rotate to the inner thigh of one leg to breathe in. And when you breathe out, second form of breathing. And breathe in once more. And breathe out. Now let's circle the other thigh. So inner thigh of the opposite leg to breathe in. And circling the other way to breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Now let's circle the other way and go to the slightly to the outer thigh of the leg. So breathe in and breathe out. By the way, you can also do this seated, all right? So again, I'm focusing on the standing forms, but any of these motions, wherever you are, getting up early in the morning, or just getting a cup of coffee, having a seat, let's say outside, and circle back. You can use any of these forms. And if you don't have much time, just doing 3 to 5 of any of these exercises, these movements that I'm showing you will help. And if you have less than a minute, a few seconds, the reset technique that I introduce you, the pumping the air out and breathing out 3 times will help you. Alright, so let's warm our hands again, activating Qi. If your hands are really, really cold, and that usually is, when you wake up in the morning, you can also clap. Yeah, and that sends a little vibration, a little tingling through the hands. Now today, I also want to introduce you to a bit of visualization. A lot of times when we face with stress, many of the thoughts that we have is internalized into our body. And when it's internalized, you feel it physically. And so the problem is we don't know how to release that energy. And part of the technique of breathing is to be able to help you understand how important breathing is, not only for life, but there's a natural wave in terms of how we breathe. The wave that is explained through the metaphor or concept of yin-yang. So what I like to do when I'm stressed also, especially those times when, unpredictable things happen, you have something that you plan and suddenly something goes wrong, or, life throws something at you that you feel, oh my God, like what is happening here? I take the energy ball and I visualize myself enveloped in this imaginary sphere or this imaginary ball. And I may initially feel especially points when I'm feeling anxious or very, very stressed, you want to cower yourself up. You want to take all that energy into yourself. And the more you take into yourself, it's really, really hard to cope with that. So what happens then is I don't want to get rid of this feeling. I want to learn how to channel the feeling. So if the points that I feel I just want to, shut off the world and just keep to myself, I begin by sending my thoughts, sending my minds into the center of this heart energy. And through the center of this heart energy, I start to breathe in slowly. So I go in to breathe in with my nose again. So breathe in. And then I start to place my hands, as I indicated before, to create the yin-yang symbol and the metaphor of yin-yang. If you do that, those of you joining me now, you'll see that the upper hand and the lower hand, or one side of the hand, forms this yin-yang symbol. I should actually get some paint to draw, to paint it here so you can visualize. And then, still feeling very, very stressed, I put the hands on my dantian, and I just pump out and let it out 3 times. And I use the ha technique. So I go, and sometimes, if it's really, really stressful and I'm feeling all the strains, I actually shout out the ha sound. So I go, ha, ha. And it's again, channeling that energy. It's not that I want to get rid of it. I just want to channel it outside of me. So then I send that energy out into the environment, knowing that it'll come back in, but when it comes back in, it's a lesser flow. So when the energy I feel or visualize or create this metaphor of this energy coming back into myself, I just go, and then again, I blow out that energy. I go, and the longer I blow out the breath, the more I can channel that energy out again into the environment. Now, the other metaphor I use, I talked about this energy sphere. So I can also create that sphere by using the caressing the sun technique, okay? So I may again start that I want to, go into the energy. I'm feeling I want to shut out the world. And then I go here, I create this little energy ball, but I start to increase the volume of the ball. So I increase the volume by thinking I'm breathing in. So I start to take it up, my upper hand to the neck level. Breathe out. And I keep that there for a few times. So breathe in. And breathe out. I can also start to rotate my hands. So it goes to this. Next week I'll introduce you more to spine breathing. So spine breathing, I take that energy inward again. That's channeling through my body. And it's affecting me negatively. And now when I release, I open my hand like this. I release and say, and I'm not thinking that I'm getting rid of the stress, I'm getting rid of the ball. Or I'm breaking through the ball. I'm just thinking that I'm using my energy and the breathing to expand the ball. So when I breathe out, I'm just expanding the energy outside. And then I let the energy channel back in. So I breathe in. So again, visualizing inside this imaginary sphere of energy, sphere of bubble. And now, when I breathe out, I go. And I'm interconnected with this bubble. It never breaks, it never releases. I'm just manipulating my mind now. So I breathe in. I shrink the energy ball. I breathe out. And you will soon find that by breathing in and out, and by slowing down the breathing, you'll be able to manipulate this energy ball and start to increase the volume out further and further and further. And you'll take the rhythm of your breathing to match with the rhythm of the movements. So once more, breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And at some point, you'll be able to then imagine that the energy is on the outside of the ball. And future sessions, I'll talk about how to caress the inside of the ball. I'll also talk about how to rethink your breathing. So I've been breathing in with coming in, but you can also breathe out to breathe in and expand. And you'll find that as the motions become more through muscle memory, your breathing becomes more fluid and natural. I'm guiding you through some of these motions physically. I'm starting to now to bring in your mind and your thoughts and visualizing that you will be able to, in a very short amount of time, learn how to manage. You'll manage all the stresses that come into your life. I really do believe that whether it's pain, whether it's stress, it's not the stress or pain itself that's good or bad, it's your reaction to it. So using these forms and these techniques will hopefully teach you, or at least that's my hope for those of you suffering through pain. When I shared with you in class 1 about how I had to go through social anxiety, throughout most of my teens and my 20s, didn't have the confidence to speak in public, and also not having the circuitry from my mind out to my mouth, and how I try to, always push myself to go beyond what I was feeling inside. No, I can't do this, or what maybe I thought other people were saying about myself. And then I had to rechannel that thought energy, and it's over through life experience that you find that your philosophy and your core values guide you to be able to cope with all the different stresses in life, as well as help you to have a, let's say, problem-solving attitude. and a mindful attitude to everything that you and we do. So have a wonderful Easter, and we'll see you next week. And any questions, feel free to private message or email support@dancegate.com. I'm myself, challenging or using this as a way to continue to practice talking, especially online. Even though my wife and I do so many classes and we're out, through physically meeting with our students in classes, it's a very different environment here talking to the camera. So I hope you, for those of you who joined me in the previous weeks, thank you for your understanding. And if you're going through your journey of learning and using this as a toolkit to help you manage stress and to help you find another tool to manage pain, whether that's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, my hope is that this will help you in your journey of discovering. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.